And I'm feeling alive. You give me all the strength that I need, and I wanna know if I can be by your side. I don't wanna be anywhere but by your side. I just wanna.
What's going on, everybody? It's Duran here from Sunrise Gaming, coming back to you with another weekly podcast. This week has been a very interesting week for Overwatch, so we do have quite a bit to talk about today. Not a whole lot has gone on in like the PvE or like quick play arcade stuff or like updates to the game, but a lot has been happening in the pro scene and in the new competitive season 5. So that's going to be most of the topics that we're going to be going over today. As a reminder, this is mostly a podcast. There is no gameplay in the background. So if you have things to do around the house, or you should probably clean your room or something, or you're screwing around in quick play, or maybe you need to do some laundry, put us in the background. We're just going to be talking away. Lax is probably going to ramble for a solid 30 minutes tonight.
Okay, you know what?
I'm just saying we got a few topics that are very touchy, so things might drag on tonight. Sit back, relax, enjoy it. This is Overwatch Overtime. Lax, we got a lot to talk about. I assume you have a list of something ready to go.
Oh, yeah. So, one of the bigger things, we'll just start off with this because I think it's on everybody's mind, is Jeff was answering some questions and he responded to somebody that said, is there going to be like harsher penalties for leaving, and or the report system, is there going to be anything done about that to really ensure that people aren't playing that shouldn't be, people that are constantly leaving or rage quitting or whatever. And he basically said that they've actually considered permanently banning people from competitive play if they're notorious for quitting a game. And honestly, I'm not too sure about a permanent ban, but at the same time, I would agree that it needs to be harsher, because if it's not harsh enough, people aren't going to care. You get a 15-minute timeout, okay, you go watch a YouTube video, you come back and you can keep being toxic. Like, it's an interesting thing. I don't know. What do you think about the whole ban situation in terms of like leavers and people being reported?
So, like, I think if people are being reported constantly for trolling, leaving, whatever, I don't know if a permanent ban is. I think a permanent ban's a little extreme. Maybe a season ban. Like,
Yeah,
you're banned from playing for the rest of the season.
that would make
Um,
sense.
and then you take a huge hit. You can't, like, earn any competitive points the next season or something
Right.
like that. I just. Perma banning is bad for business in a
Yeah.
sense, because you do lose that person's, and gotta remember Blizzard is a company and companies make money. So I mean, I'm sure like overall it would be okay, but the community as it stands right now is quite toxic. So
Yeah.
I think the hammer needs to come down pretty hard in season 5, and we're going to go over some really big news later at the end of the podcast with some professional players. So that are going through some bans and changes and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, I think that there needs to probably be a better system. And from what I understand, for the console players out there, I don't know how many console players watch this podcast, but if you're a console player, please let us know what you think about perma banning and stuff like that. Because as of right now, they don't have a
They don't.
report
Like a ban
function
system?
or a ban system or anything, because
Oh
it's
shit.
Xbox and PlayStation that have to, and Sony, excuse me, that they have
Oh,
to do it,
okay.
not Blizzard. Blizzard has no control over that.
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
interesting.
that's something that can be a bit of a
Right.
problem
Well,
for our console buddies.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, you don't want to. So, like, let's separate two. Let's say there's somebody who's being toxic in terms of they're yelling at people and they're intentionally throwing, and then there's people that are leaving the game. And I mean, just like, not. I mean, obviously people have bad connections sometimes, but like people that just leave because they get frustrated. That I would argue to say that it actually might be worse to leave a game, because at least you still have a chance to kind of win if somebody, even if somebody's being toxic. Like, I know that's terrible. So I think there kind of needs to be a distinction between reporting somebody for leaving because they're griefing for whatever reason, and for people that are just being overall toxic. Obviously, if you get report after report after report of somebody being toxic, maybe using certain racial slurs or just like being overall mean to your teammates or something, then I think that needs to be reported right away. If somebody's not switching their character, as shitty as that sounds, like, yes, they're not working as a team, but if they just refuse to switch and they're not doing anything else, maybe that doesn't really result in a report. But somebody that leaves all the time can really throw a game, because I mean you're going to lose the game then, and you might not get the points if you're winning or whatever. So
Right, yeah. You gotta remember, Blizzard defines a troll or somebody who's throwing a game. It's not by playing a class or a character that
yeah,
people don't like playing Torb on attack or something. That you can't report somebody for that. You could actually get in trouble if you start reporting people like that. Um, and I'm gonna say this, and people aren't probably will disagree with me on this one. For those of you that watch, I think if you have bad internet, I don't think you should play competitive.
yeah, I would
Um,
agree.
because you're only
I mean,
gonna
it sucks,
hurt your
but
team. Um, and you can get penalties and whatnot.
yeah,
I know that's like, well, Duran, I want to play competitive, but I don't have the best internet. I'm like, well, it's not fair to the other five people if you leave three times, like once every round, because you
yeah,
get disconnected.
yeah.
So
I mean, and you know if you have the internet to be able to stay on for a game that long, like you'll know if you have that kind of internet. And
exactly.
like he said, if you're leaving a couple times throughout a match, I mean and you're not you're not griefing, it's just connection issues. You really need to take a hard long think, like, am I just throwing for my team unintentionally? Not saying that it's malicious or anything, but unintentionally throwing for my team, that's not fair to them. You're costing them rank, you're costing them their time and whatnot.
Yep.
So I think I would agree with you. As harsh as it sounds, it's the unfortunate truth. I mean, there's nothing wrong with quick play. Quick play is fun, but I understand the competitiveness. But yeah, I'd agree with you there.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, these things are gonna happen, so.
Yeah, I mean, your internet goes out. You live you're going through like a storm or something. Like, nobody's gonna get mad at you for that. But when it's a continuous thing, like, that's when there needs to be a discussion, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So on and on with the bans and whatnot. I haven't seen anybody banned. Like nobody
Hmm.
that we know has been banned, and we
Right.
haven't heard anything like of people
From
being
like
banned.
leaving and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I would love to see like somebody just like banned and like a match gets canceled because this person has been banned.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
great. It reminds me of in Guild Wars 1, old game that
Oh
I used to
gosh.
play a lot.
Throwback.
If somebody, yeah, throwback, back in the 2007, 6,
Good old days
5, something like that. Yeah,
when everything was simple.
ArenaNet had this hilarious ban system where they had this god in the game that was called Doom, but it was spelled Dhuum. And what would happen if somebody was like reported for being abusive or cheating, and they were going to ban that player? The god would come up from the ground and kill that character,
What?
whatever character they were on. Oh yeah, you can find this stuff
I
on
don't
YouTube.
remember this.
You can find this stuff on YouTube, man. Like it happened even like in like a PvP tournament. Like this guy was
What?
reported for cheating, and they found him, and like the god comes up out of the ground, takes out a big scythe, and kills his character, and then the
What?
account locks up. Yeah,
Holy
so
crap.
like it would be
I
kind
didn't
of
even know
funny
that.
if you just see like an animated Jeff Kaplan coming in with a giant Reinhardt hammer and just like beats the snot out of somebody and deletes them from the game. So I
That's
mean,
hilarious.
Blizzard can be funny with it, but at the same time, it's a very serious issue.
Right,
So
right.
and it's quite the talk. It's definitely a hot topic.
Yeah.
This week has been a huge thing about people throwing. I did
Yeah.
notice as I was scouring the YouTube,
YouTubes.
what I do in my downtime. I got nothing else to do. Um,
Same.
yeah, that people were saying that a lot of people who play like mostly arcade and quick play have decided that now is the time to come into competitive because, to be fair, the meta these days
The meta now is a lot more
is way more
open.
balanced and open. You can get away with playing a lot more characters. Blizzard has really done a great job the past 4 seasons, really working on this.
Yeah.
So
Really
now
awesome.
they're like, oh man, hey man, come play with us. You can do this now and do that. But the problem is with these quick play and arcade players, and this is no offense to them, but they don't really care about competitive too much.
Yeah.
They just want to get their points so they can get their golden guns. That's all it is. And Jeff has
Yeah.
even said that golden guns kind of leave the wrong impression on people.
Yeah.
So you get them, they come in as soon as their team starts losing, they're like, okay, well I'm out, and they just drop the game,
Yep.
and it doesn't matter to them because they'll take the 30-minute ban, the hour ban, because they'll just go play quick play
Yeah.
or arcade. That's what they
That's what they
normally
used
do.
to. Yeah.
So I mean, you have to have the right mindset to be competitive. You can't just go in there and say, "I'm doing this for fun." You could, and that's it. If I
Yeah.
lose, I'm gonna leave. You have to go in there and say, "I'm gonna try my best to work with my team and win." That's competitive. If
Yep.
you don't care about being competitive, don't play
Play quick
competitive.
play. Yeah.
Just play quick play.
That's why
So
quick play's there. That's why arcade's there.
that's right. So that's the end of my ramble.
Yeah. Well, transitioning a little bit in the kind of this same area, like, because you kind of touched on it a little bit, and we both kind of did. The overall, it seems to me, the overall toxicity problem. Maybe it's just where we are in kind of mid golds that this is an issue, but I really feel like it hasn't gotten better. It hasn't necessarily gotten worse, I would say. Maybe some other people would disagree with me, but it hasn't gotten better. And I figured after 4 seasons, people would figure out, okay, yes, maybe taking Attack Torb isn't the best, but let's not yell at this kid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you? I don't know. Am I wrong? Like, does it seem like things haven't gotten better? Maybe slightly worse in terms of like toxicity and people talking to each other and overall social interaction and whatnot.
I honestly think it's gotten worse. And this is,
Yeah.
again, I can't believe I'm saying it. I thought it was just going to slowly get better over time. I'm blocking 3 or 4 people every day because
Mm-hmm.
they start trolling, they start screaming at each other and stuff, and I'm like, I don't need this. God, I hope there's no limit to how many people I can block because I'm
Right.
going to be at that cap pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, uh, I don't think it's gotten better. I really am on board with. I think it's gotten worse
I gotcha.
because like you've seen it, like
Yeah.
people. So here's an example. I'm doing my placements on my Smurf, and one of the 5 games that I lost because of trolling, the only game we lost genuinely because of there's this guy on the team. So it was a relatively quiet game. I was playing Zenyatta and I was calling out, who's got the orb and whatnot. And then, we're still losing and stuff, and I'm saying like uh Farrah discorded, Hog discorded, just calling this stuff out. And this guy told me to shut the fuck up.
What?
And I'm like, I'm calling out my discords, focus and kill them. And he goes,
Was
"You're
anybody else like calling
no,
out
nobody
anything?
else was saying anything. I was the only one saying things."
That's so weird.
And I was like, "Well, I'm calling them out so you guys can kill them." And
Focus fire.
and then
Yeah.
the guy goes, "We can see it, thanks."
Okay.
This guy
But
was
the
a
Genji
silver.
that's trying to like survive may not be able to.
And this guy was a silver portrait. He's played a lot of Overwatch, and he's like, "We can see it, thanks." And then at the end of the game, we lost. We were 0-3. We got slaughtered on Oasis. At the end of the game, and he goes, "You guys are literally the worst players I have ever played with." And I was like,
Wow.
and that's all he said. Those are the 2 things he said the whole 3 rounds. And I just like shook my head. I was like,
That's
what are you doing,
that's
dude?
crazy. I don't, man. See, I don't understand that. Like, I think part of it is that you're not actually like interacting with the people that you're playing with. You're just kind of talking to them via a game. So it doesn't really matter if you say anything because they can't, reach through the computer and punch you. So
Mhm.
people feel like they can say whatever. But at the same time, like I understand, like if this is like a Call of Duty game where it's really just kind of you don't really work as a team, you just play and you try to win. It's all individualistic. I'd get that. You're like, oh, you're terrible. I can't lead this team. Like I get that. It's still shitty to say, but like, you know, people that are shitty people will talk like that. But like Overwatch is such a team-centered game. I don't understand how you can come to the conclusion that yes, let's yell at these people in order to win the game. Like how that doesn't make any sense. And like I think part of the problem is just people have this. I think it's a gaming problem in general. Maybe just a competitiveness in general. But like people think they're the greatest.
Yeah, I was reading.
And
Oh, go ahead, finish your
you
thought.
know, Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that people think they're the greatest, and so if obviously if they're losing, it's not their fault; it's the other people's fault.
And sometimes you need to look in a mirror in a competitive match. Maybe it is you. You know,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
we've said before, and many YouTubers have said this, and people in the community, medals don't really matter. What matters, I mean, eliminations can have an argument that
yeah,
they matter, but what matters is if you're winning your team fights or not. If you win more team fights, you
yeah,
win the game. Simple as that. But if you don't win team fights, you lose. And again, the key word there is team fight,
yeah.
not duel, team fight. And I was, on Reddit and on the Overwatch forums, and this guy brought up a very good point on the forums. He said that I think the toxicity and the trickling and all that problems actually stemmed from other games, and people have been
Oh,
playing those games first, and they're coming to Overwatch, and they think it works like that here. Overwatch isn't like the first of its kind. Obviously, Team
yeah,
Fortress was the first to do this, and TF2 as
yeah.
well, where teams matter.
Hmm.
So people who play a lot of Call of Duty and whatnot just come and join this game, and they think, well, I can solo and carry all the way, but you
Yeah,
can't because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to win on 2v1. If you're Soldier and the enemy is Tracer and Winston, you're not going to win
yeah,
that 2v1. There's no way in hell you're going to do it without your ultimate or something.
yeah.
So it's all team fights, and if you can't be a part of the team, Overwatch is not the game for you.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I mean, we've been saying that for God knows how long.
since I started playing the game.
Seriously, and like you can't. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. I don't know. I don't even know if this is toxicity. Maybe just overall not understanding the game. And I think not understanding the game feeds into the toxicity problem. But when I call for a regroup and people keep trickling, or I have a regroup, but then my Winston jumps without saying anything, it's like you're kind of leaving your team out to bear. And then people get mad, and then people start saying, "Oh, you're throwing." And it's like, no, I'm not throwing. I'm trying to communicate. It's frustrating. I mean, I can't tell. I mean, I play tanks mainly, and I've missed a pin or I've made a bad play. I didn't jump in at the right time. I screwed up the team fight, and I recognize that. I'll either be like my bad, or I'll just be quiet and try to focus on the next fight. But there's absolutely no reason for you to be so selfish during your game that you just start yelling at other people. Like I was watching this funny YouTuber who puts together like different like compilations of like funny things that happen in competitive, and she came across this player that was literally they had a roadhog and he was just bashing their roadhog. I mean, like, dude, you're terrible. You haven't hit a single hook, and he was like doing average, like he wasn't carrying, but he was doing average, and this guy's just bashing and bashing, and like I think they only had one other DPS. I think it was a triple tank. So essentially, that roadhog counted as a DPS, right? That we've
Mm-hmm.
always said. And so she goes on and she says, "How in the world do you think bashing your DPS is going to help?" And then he was just silent for the rest of the game. And then because he was silent, the Roadhog player was able to focus and they won the game. It's like, see, it's that simple. Just don't say shit, especially to like your DPS or your heal. Well, really to anybody, because everybody has a key role. Like, if you don't think somebody's doing well, you can politely ask them to switch or politely ask them to see if they want to take over the spot that you're on. But if they're doing average and you're just like you need to do more, you're terrible. Like you're not going to go anywhere with that. Like that, it just doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
maybe it's our elo. I don't really see it that much. Like you watch like Grandmaster streams. I don't really see it that much. You just see a lot of like they already know the game so well that they don't really have to communicate that much. But at the same time, like there's basic callouts, so that's usually the full extent of their talking. But even then, like there's still toxicity up there, and it's like
Yeah, but it's
that,
definitely not as bad as it is down here in the trenches.
yeah, like everybody's trying to get out of gold and like move forward, and when somebody isn't doing exactly what you want them to do, or you're losing and you have no idea why, and you refuse to look at yourself, like I just think that's where the toxicity starts, and it's the unfortunate truth with gaming is that you can't settle it man to man. You can't settle it woman to woman or woman to man. You settle it by screaming at each other or blocking each other, and it's like that's just not good. But I mean, oh well. But it's just surprising that the situation hasn't gotten any better or even gotten worse. Like it's just kind of sad because I really like this game. You really like this game. That's why we have the channel, and it's just frustrating to see this.
I know.
Oh well.
Funny enough, we can do a little bit of a lighter note. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm about to talk about, that Lijiang
Yeah, go
Tower
for it.
game. So Max and I are duo queuing
This is fucking hilarious.
the other night, and we get in this group. Everybody was pleasant to each other the first round.
I think we were the only ones in the group. Everybody else was solo queued.
Right. It was me and you, and then the 4 solo queues. Usually tends to happen with me and Lex at our elo. So playing, no problems. First round goes great.
No, we lost the first round. Remember?
I thought we won the first round. The second round was when it all started.
Or was it the second round? No, I think we lost the first round. Remember, because I kept calling for like, I was like on Xenia. I was on Lucia. I kept calling for like, we need like a Reinhardt or a Winston, and like nobody wanted to switch. I think, regardless, it's not important.
But that's not what's in. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll go with it. Fine. We lose the first round, and then our because our soldier. So our comp was Anna, Lucio, me and Lex, soldier, Genji, Roadhog.
Roadhog and I think like Zarya.
And Zarya. Yeah, we didn't have a Rhine or anything. We kind of needed a Rhine, but it wasn't the end of the world. We lost the first round, and then our soldier player attacks our Genji, and he goes like, "Your positioning as Genji is absolute shit. You didn't do anything as Genji that game. Switch off, play something else." And I was like, here we go.
Here we fucking go.
The Genji takes immediate offense to that because he has the Genji golden weapons.
Of course.
So he starts yelling at the soldier and says, "I didn't see you doing anything," and they start yelling at each other. Somehow Zarya gets involved in this. She starts yelling at people. The next round starts, and our Genji player switches to Torb. I'm king of the hill.
I was very close to yelling at him for that.
I was like, and I was saying like, please don't throw, please don't do this, don't be stupid. So they kept fighting with each other the whole game, and whole game? No, like our comms did not go quiet. They kept yelling at each other, and then it turned into like a shootout contest, and I don't know how we did it, but we ended up winning that series 3-1. The next 3 rounds we won.
We rolled them.
We rolled the enemy team.
I don't think we lost the point after
we never
got
lost the point after that. We pushed them all the way to their spawn. We would clear them off the point. Our Zarya and Pharah worked together. And that motherfucker was on Torb the whole game. And he was yelling at the soldier. And he's like, "Headshot, bitch, headshot. Boom, another kill by Torb. Torb's the best." And then he'd be like, "You don't even know what you're doing." Oh yeah, Torb, baby, Torb, baby. And then the soldier was like, "Get a real hero, come on, this is stupid." And they're like yelling at each other. We ended up winning. So sometimes toxicity can work.
the rare instance where it actually works.
In all my months of playing this game, this over a year now, it's the only time I've ever seen it work. So out of all the hundreds and hundreds of games we've played, it's only worked one time where toxicity actually pushed a team to focus and win because they wanted to prove they were the best.
To push our DPS to actually
be
start
DPS.
fragging out. And they did, and it was great.
Oh, the kill feed was always us. We hardly lost anybody or anything like that. They were just going to town, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe how are we winning right now?"
I was just sitting on speed boost, just ferrying those guys around so they go get kills. It was great.
I know, it was something else. So that's sometimes the way things.
I think
work.
we did. I'm getting a Winston as well, so that helped. But
yeah, they changed comp a little bit, but it ended up working. So.
But on a lighter note, look, sometimes it works. Nah,
sometimes one time out of 500 games it'll work.
Yeah. But switching up real quick, just real quickly, there's an interesting little exploit going on right now where you can actually shoot through walls. Only works with like certain abilities. I know Fire Strike from Reinhardt, it works. You have to basically set up some type of barrier, like usually like Reinhardt or Winston's barrier. You put it right in front of certain walls, and I think the problem is what it does is when it hits the barrier, usually barriers block everything, but then I think there's some kind of check, and then it realizes that okay, that's something it can actually pass through. There's not enough time for that check to reset, so it then passes through the wall as well, because it has to be like extremely close. It's a small exploit. It's not a big deal. It's gonna be fixed, and the likelihood of that actually happening in a match is like 1 in a million, I'd say. So it'll obviously happen to me in that case. So when you see me die on the live stream to that, the tilt will happen. Just gonna throw that out there, but it'll be fixed. It's not a problem.
No.
Don't freak out. It's hilarious though, I think.
It's really hard to do and set up during a game too, so like don't waste your
Yeah.
time.
Exactly. But yeah. So one of the other things that we want to get into is a lot of people have been complaining about their placements.
Yes.
I mean, I definitely complained. I was put in fucking silver, which I'm almost out of. You were put in lower gold for Doran's account, and then
Yes.
if you want to go ahead and talk about your Smurf.
And then my Smurf, which has always been mid-platinum to high, was placed in high gold. But the problem with the placements kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier, was that trolling and whatnot. I had 5 games that I lost. I went 5-5 on my Smurf, which is terrible. I mean, it's not, placements aren't a big deal. Like, I'll probably be able to get out of gold because I'm only like 2 games away from gold, or two games away from platinum on my account. But on my first placements in season 4 on my Smurfs, the first time I had the account for that season, I went 8-2, and then I played games, and everything was fine. Like that's where I should be for. I feel like in that account, I play Zenyatta, and I play mostly DPS characters. I don't really play tanks or anything. And I feel like I'm a platinum DPS. But because of all the trolling, the people just leaving, like the enemy team, one of my losses, the enemy team did it like a full-on actual dive comp, and we had a good defense set up on Kings Row defense, but they did wipe us in like the first minute. This guy said, "Screw this," and he left the game. And I was like, we lost.
Jeez.
We lost after that. Like, we could hold them on streets and then, still fight them. We can change the comp up. But people just like quitting and stuff, so it ended poorly. Placements have not been good this season. A lot of people lost a lot. I mean, there was this one guy we played with, was in high diamond and was now in gold tier. So I don't know what happened.
There's a variety of different problems. Placements have never been an accurate sort of measure. Personally, I think you should just. I mean, I don't mind the season reset. I don't. But I don't know. There's got to be a better system. Well, part of the problem is that there's really no way to accurately rank what you did for a team.
Yeah.
If you were just Lucio and you were just on heal and your team fragged out every fight and you swept them, you didn't do anything for your team. But let's say your team was full of golds and plats, the matchmaking system, because you won with them, might think that you're a gold or plat player. So, and I don't think there's really any accurate way to measure if the Reinhardt put up his shield at the right time or if he was just absorbing trash damage. So, and same thing with like a soldier. Like, how do you know? I mean, there's a couple different ideas being thrown around, but how do you know he was focusing the right target at the right time instead of just shooting whatever he wanted? So, unfortunately, I mean, there's the SR that you see, your season ranking, and then there's the hidden sort of like MMR that the system uses to kind of think, when you go into a match, are you favored? Are you not favored? Do they think your skill level's up to par? And this kind of combo is what leads to the problems, because unfortunately there are times when people will have a higher or have a lower hidden MMR than like their ranking is, so they keep getting these really hard games, and if they lose those games, they lose a lot of SR because the system is trying to balance that out. The system's trying to say that they essentially want your hidden MMR and your SR to be like roughly the same. If they think your skill level is at a gold level, then they want your SR to be in gold. And if they think it's a diamond, they want it to be a diamond. But if you're off a little bit, they're trying to readjust for that, which is good if you have a really high hidden MMR and your SR is in like gold, and let's say your MMR is theoretically like crazy in diamond, like you're going to be gaining a lot of SRs, so theoretically you should be able to climb. That's good. However, with the problem with placements is just like you said, people will throw and people will not do these right things, and your hidden MMR gets affected by that, and it's trying to keep up with that. It's just kind of a shitty system, and really the only reason we have placements is because of us. I mean, obviously, if you first start playing competitive, you should do placements. That would make sense. But if if you're gonna have a season reset, you pretty much have to have placements because how else do you reset the season
Yeah.
if you don't change your SR? Now, I mean, I mean, hopefully, maybe the ban system that we talked about earlier could help fix fix this whole issue. But it's really frustrating. But the main thing I really think is that you need to kind of figure out where you think your hidden MMR might be, and obviously there's no way to tell. But if you gain a lot of SR from a win, then it thinks your hidden MMR is higher, which is good for you. If you lose a lot of SR, then it might think you're too high, and that means you really need to kind of prove your individual skill. That means when you're on Lucio, make sure you're getting your heals up. When you're on Soldier, make sure you're hitting the right targets. Make sure you're dealing a lot of damage, because these are the kind of things that affect your hidden MMR theoretically. That's what's thought about anyway. So I don't know. Everybody's having placement issues. Some people have said that they got placed higher than they expected. So I think it just kind of depends. It sucks though. It definitely sucks.
Yeah, there's some talk going around that if you could change your fate, would you? Like, if you could reset your SR, would you? Like, if you could if they just did a full system wipe and reset everything. Now, granted, that would make your placements be shit, because you would probably you'd do one bronze level, one silver, one gold, one platinum, and then they'd place you against diamonds, masters, and grandmasters. So your placements would be shit. But do you think that since people have so much data now, it's kind of pointless?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because the unfortunate truth is that, like you said, like people will throw and like you just don't have good teammates, or what you're really good at is game sense and call outs, but the system can't keep track of that. So it's because I think that Overwatch is such a game that you don't have to have great mechanical skill to be a great Overwatch player.
Yes.
So the problem is, if you were to do a full reset, I mean, people do have a lot of data. I wouldn't mind, and maybe in the season data you kind of maybe you keep your SR, so where you ended up, or maybe like where your season high was or whatever, you play in that area for your placements, and maybe you just wipe your hidden MMR so that you figure out, okay, you ended up in this area, now let's see if you actually have that skill to be in that area. Whatever algorithm they use to calculate your hidden MMR, let's see if that actually holds up. And then if it turns out, wow, you're actually carrying your teams, but you're losing your placements, we'll put your hidden MMR a little bit higher so you can gain more SR. Because the unfortunate truth is that it's a team game, and if you can't carry 5 other players, then you're gonna lose games. I mean, there's nothing really you can do about it. So I wouldn't mind that.
That's not a half bad idea. Just whatever you end at is your next 10 matches for placements will be everybody in that area that can queue with you.
Yeah.
You play those 10, and based on those 10, does it move you up or does it move you down?
Yeah, I like that. I think that's the reset that we would need, rather than just saying, okay, we're gonna kind of figure out these two systems, because I mean,
these systems are extremely complex.
Yeah, like it's not like, okay, you did 20k damage, you have plus 10. It's not like a simple algorithm. These are complex algorithms that they've designed to try to, and they account for everything. And they're hidden, so we have no idea what it actually does. But what it's theorized is counts for literally any statistics that you can track. It counts for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would like that, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. My thing is that I really feel like every now and then you run into players that are just like, yeah, you probably belong in gold. Not as a bad thing, but you just don't have the mechanical skill to get higher. But I really think gold has a combination of shitty players that probably should belong in silver and they just got carried, and good players that just can't get out of it because of the way that the system works. And because I mean, unfortunately, because I got placed in silver, whenever I solo queue, I'm pretty much with just silvers. And
how do you do in those matches?
Fuck. Okay. What do I do?
Yeah. No. How do you do?
Carry. Oh.
Okay, yeah, I
I
pick
just pick
Reinhardt.
and carry them on my back. How? I do well. I think I've probably won more solo queue games in this season than I've lost. But I'm not. I think the thing with like silver is I really do think that a lot of the guys that I've met in silver are probably belong in silver. It's not that they don't understand the game or that like they're just kind of doing whatever. It's just
They're
they don't have
casual.
they don't have the mechanical skill. I really think that bronze and silver players just don't have mechanical skill to keep up with when you try to play DPS. Now, obviously, you don't need insane mechanical skill to play Lucio, but um, you need if you're a silver player trying to play DPS, which you need DPS when you play Overwatch. Um, just I really think that mechanical skill is what keeps a lot of people in silver. But that's why I say like in gold, like you see it. It's what's it called, a melting pot.
Because it is the biggest league.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it's like what is it, 30% of
30% of
population?
Overwatch population is in gold.
Like you're gonna meet. I mean, we've met. I've played against insane snipers. I've played with insane widows. I've played against insane soldiers. I played against insane Reinhardts that I can't outmaneuver. And I'm like, why the hell are you in gold? Like you're playing on, I'd say, a diamond level, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I've met a soldier that can't hit the broadside of the barn because he picked soldier because he got placed in gold because his friends carried him, and that's the only person he ever picked.
Yeah.
You know, so it's such a trash shoot of just we throw whatever against the wall and see what sticks in gold. I think because really anybody can get in gold, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I think of the current leagues. I think platinum. I think every now and then platinum you get probably some guys that aren't so good and some guys that are good. I think once you get into diamond master and grandmasters, when you start seeing people that, I mean, to get to those ranks, you have to grind. Like you have to play a lot of games. So those are the guys that have game sense and the mechanical skill and stuff like that. So, and obviously top 500 players are just really good. But gold is just that weird portion, which is why I want to get the hell out because it's just so inconsistent, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you.
But yeah, that's it. All right. Away
Ready?
from. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Wrap it
I'm
up.
saying, I'm agreeing with you. You ready?
Oh yeah. So we're gonna move on to some. We'll do some like pro scene news, which Dorian
Okay.
really wants to talk about, and then I'll break down some of the.
No, if you want to do
interesting things.
if you want to do some gameplay or whatever first, go ahead. We'll save the goodies for for the end.
Okay, that works. Yeah. So right now, first of all, contenders.
That's all right.
That was a big thing. Who was it? God, I just looked this up. Was it Immortals that ran away with it?
Yep.
I think so. Yeah, I think they looked really, really good, in my opinion. There were some other teams that looked really good. I saw Hammers did pretty well. Counter Logic was really good. That was surprising because I think they've had kind of some bad luck recently. Yeah, Immortals looked really good. Teams like Rogue and Envious were in Korea, so I don't think they were really able to play much.
Yeah, they're in Apex right now.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought Contenders was great. I watched a decent chunk. You know, there's a lot of teams that I had no idea existed were there. So
Well, they're just six stacks that are
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to do things.
and I mean that's good. The point of the tournament was to get your name out there. So I think that was good. I think Contenders overall is a success. I'd like to see more tournaments like that hosted by Blizzard and stuff. Just to kind of help further, because I think Blizzard really wants this to be an esports game, because
Absolutely.
I mean Hearthstone is, I would say, a pretty decent esports game, mainly just because I mean it's so simple. Not in terms of like the gameplay, but you have cards and you play one person, like that's why it's simple. And WoW has always been kind of in a weird spot of whether or not it's kind of an esports game, just the way it's set up. But I think they really want to push Overwatch to there, so I think Contenders is a good place to go to. And then we'll go to Apex. Apex is looking pretty good. Rogue was unfortunately eliminated from the second round of group play. Envious is the only North American team left, even though I mean they're technically like they have a grab bag of people, but they're technically a North American team. And
Yeah.
they're playing a bunch of South Korean teams. I think there might be like a Chinese team in there.
Apex is the real test, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's like that. You're seeing high level play. That's why Rogue and Envious were there, because they're high level North American, and then they're playing against some of the better, the best teams, I would say. So that's definitely. I mean, like just watching the games, they're like in a little small arena, and they have like this cool setup that makes them look all professional, and they're all wearing jerseys. It's pretty cool. So one of the first games we saw was Envious played X6, and X6 is a South Korean team, and Envious actually lost. I lost 3-2. It was extremely close. What I want to highlight is what I saw from them is I saw a lot of different play styles, especially on payload maps. On their King of the Hill maps, you kind of saw some standard dive, some standard. I think they brought out triple tank because they were worried that Envious with Taimu can run a pretty sick what's it called, Roadhog. So if they're not diving, then you can run a triple tank against that and it works. So
Yeah.
so we saw that, but we saw a lot of different kinds of comps. We saw triple DPS on both sides. We saw single heal on both sides. We saw Sombra on both sides. One of the interesting things I saw, and I didn't even really think about this, was that when X6, this was Hollywood, so it's hybrid. You have to take the first point and then push a payload. So on that first point defense, X6 was running single heal as an Ana with I think they were running no, it wasn't a Sombra. But they were single healing with, might have been a Torb or something. Maybe it was maybe they weren't single healing. But anyways, they were essentially relying on the Ana to hold down the fort. And that little cafe off to the side on First Point Hollywood has that small health pack, and that's kind of where the Ana would bail herself out because she was trying to lob her grenade towards the other team, towards Envious, so she didn't have it for herself a lot. So essentially, Envious saw this real quick, and they're like, okay, if we take out the Ana, we win this. Like, they don't have any heals, and then we go to town. So they brought Taimu on a Sombra, and I'm sorry, but Taimu on a Sombra is probably the greatest fucking thing I've ever seen. Because he's great mechanically, so he's actually getting insane ult charge off of his gun, as well as just running around and hacking stuff. Like, it's great. And he went back, he got around, and they weren't sure they were going to be able to do this because, you're going essentially behind enemy lines, and they got behind there and they hacked that enemy health pack in that little cafe, and it's just like the whole world fell apart for X6.
Yes.
However, the problem is that X6 came back and they ended up pushing into overtime. They both completed the maps. They went to overtime, or they went to extra rounds, and I don't know what Envious tried. They've done this before. They run like a Torb, Sombra support with an Ana. So I know, technically, what's it called? Sombra and Torb are DPS characters, but essentially they play them as support characters. And the first push, Exis just didn't really know what was going on, and then they figured it out and they ran all over him. Fortunately, Envious lost. It was a sad day. But I think just seeing an attack Sombra was very interesting because we've always regarded her as more of a defensive character. And then obviously seeing the Torbjorn was really cool. We also saw Taimu on the Reaper, which is very interesting.
Yes, Talon Comp is what they're calling it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
interesting.
have named it Talon Comp.
Okay, because we were talking about how Reaper might see more play, and I think attacking a point like that, because you really just have to get a bunch of kills. You have to get a quick kill or two, and then move in on that because teams will turtle up on that first point.
Yes.
So I think that's what Reaper's good at. But the funny thing is that Taimu had his ult. This was on the very last push. He had his Beyblade, and they were going to go in and push on him. So he moved all the way. You know that little elevator in the back right?
Mm-hmm.
So he teleported onto that, but the Ana was already there, and she slept him.
Oh no!
Envious didn't see that he was slept. I don't know if he didn't call it out. So they pushed in like they had him for his ult. And so he's sitting there sleeping. I think they dropped EMP, and then they're waiting for. It's just awkward. They're literally sat there and they're waiting for Taimu to drop down, and then all you see is the casters go, "He's asleep! He's asleep!" And it's everybody's losing their mind, and then X6 just cleans up, and it's what the heck?
Oh my god!
What other thing? I'm just gonna mention this. This is hilarious. They played Dorado, and it's just pure payload.
Right.
Guess what character X's came out with on attack? Offense. It's a DPS character.
On attack?
Mm-hmm.
It was a DPS character.
DPS character that came out with it on attack.
From
the very beginning. Nope.
Who?
Junkrat. I'm not even kidding.
So what did he do? Just like shell the points?
He just kept everybody at bay. Like every time they would try to initiate, I can't remember the comp that Envious was running on defense. I think it was kind of like a pseudo dive. It might have been more of triple tanky, but they didn't have a Zarya because Zarya isn't seeing a lot of play right now because it's more like a mobility wise in the meta. So literally Junkrat first of all he got up onto that high building and just got the diva off because they just shelled the diva so that she got off and lost that high ground positioning, and then he just kept shelling like them and kind of just if somebody would initiate he just throw down his grenade, push them back, and then shell them with his like little grenades or whatever. And then when they would try to take high ground on that little roof section, he would just pelt that so they couldn't really go into it because I think they had a Reinhardt. I think so. But like those little grenades can kind of do damage to that shield. I just thought it was hilarious. And they ended up getting the full point. They switched off on that very last section because it was so tight that they really wanted somebody else to kind of like dish out a little bit more damage rather than just control the zone.
Right.
Because all those grenades can be put in, one area kind of controlled if it's a decent Junkrat. So I just thought that was really interesting and funny. So
how did his ultimate do? He get kills?
Terrible actually. He didn't get it off very much. Well, he got it off like a good amount, like as a Junkrat should, but he didn't get a lot of kills with it. I think only a couple.
Yeah, I think it personally.
The thing is, it's just like I think Envious were just shook more than anything else. Like they had no idea what to do. It's like, how do you play against a Junkrat? And then they're like, okay, well, Soldier just pelt down the Junkrat. He can't catch you, but they kept defending him, and the Junkrat's like hiding behind the payload, but then shelling, and it was just a shit show. And I think Envious caught on after on that final stretch to get the third point. Envious started like being able to counter it, and so that's when they switched up. But I think Envious actually took that. No, X6 actually took that map. X6 ended up winning 3-2. It was a very close game. If you want to see great Overwatch, watch the two last maps from those guys. It was insane. And X6 wasn't actually favored. They were actually thought to lose this match against Envious, but they actually ended up winning. So if you want to watch good Overwatch, watch the replays of that because that was insane.
That was, and again, that was Team Envious versus X6 Gaming. You can find that on YouTube easily.
It's great. So that's all from the pro scene. Just good contenders matches. Apex is looking really good. They're on to the second group stage, so I think they have a couple matches this weekend.
So definitely for the next podcast, you're going to be going over probably the whole tournament.
I think so. I don't know if it'll be done by next Friday. I'm not really sure. I don't know the schedule. I know group stage is over this weekend, and then they move on to the final four. So
okay, cool.
That's it from the pro scene. Now, I'm so sorry. Doran wants to talk about Duffran. And some issues, and this is going to tie everything together because this is pro. This has to deal with toxicity and stuff. So, go ahead.
Yesterday, late last night. For those of you who don't know, I am a huge Selfless fan. I love them a lot, and since I like to play soldier, my favorite soldier is Dafran. Dafran is, in all honesty, probably the best soldier in the game.
I'd be comfortable with saying that.
Last week, I spent a good 10 minutes breaking down his gameplay on King's Row and how he used Soldier as a flanker, essentially, to pick off the enemy, Reinhardts and like supports and whatnot, just by getting behind them, using the sprint and stuff. Last night, Dafran was banned from the game. Yeah, drama ensued. I'm actually going to put up a funny picture right here. I'm going to make a mental note. 48 minutes is when this is going to come up, because I'll have to put this into the podcast, because usually we don't do anything for this. I am a huge Dafran fan, and I hope that he finds the help that he needs. So he was banned last night for being extremely toxic, extremely hostile towards other players in competitive. Dafran plays with top 500 because Dafran was technically ranked number 1. He, on his stream, that's the problem when you're professional. When you're professional, you kind of need to hold yourself to a higher standard. You know what? Let's go back. Let's go back to the monthly melee. And Dafran actually threw a game.
Really?
Yes, he was playing Genji, and he's an excellent Genji. He's not the best Genji, but he's an excellent Genji.
Yeah.
Don't know anything. I think it's Selfless vs. LG Evil, something like that, whatever. And he got so tilted that he had his ult, and he used it in spawn.
It wasn't accidental.
No. The casters thought it was.
Right.
And then like they thought it was like, oh my god, did he fat finger his old, by mistake? And
Yeah.
no, he used it to dash out to the side of Oasis and then climb the wall until he died. He jumped off the map.
Jeez.
He threw the match. That's kind of when it started. And then his stream, I have not watched in the past few days. I usually only watch him on the weekends because that's when he streams the most, and that's when I have a little more time to watch things. Because on my normal days off, I'm usually doing editing. He was getting he had like a hashtag trending in the Overwatch communities to like troll and like he was only playing Torb, and he was like putting his turret in like the worst places so they face a wall and don't do anything. He was calling his team of trolls the Overwatch ISIS,
God.
and I don't know what happened. He
Wait, was he like six stacking?
no, he was solo queuing.
He was just solo killing.
Solo queuing, and when you solo queue a top 500, SR matters to these people. Like,
Yeah.
see, these are if they're not pro, they're probably trying to go pro if you're in the top 500.
Yeah.
Or they're a YouTuber,
Or like
or
professional streamers
they're
or
a
something
streamer.
that rely on high level content.
Yeah, so it matters to them. These games matter, and he's just out there trolling on Torb, saying Overwatch ISIS, doing all these things. He was trolling hard on Twitter, like messing around with people and whatnot. People started reporting him like crazy, and Blizzard last night came out with a statement. So a couple things that are included in his ban. He is actually banned from contenders for season 0 and season 1.
Wow.
So right now it's season 0, it's the trial run, and it's doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1, which is expected to pick up next year, he will not be able to play. He is banned from competitive. He is banned from season 5. He may be banned from season 6.
Oh my gosh.
All of his Smurf accounts have been banned for the same as well. They track your IP, and any account played from that IP has been banned. So after all this happened, we figured that he would make a statement this morning, and he did. He made a statement this morning, and he did not apologize. He said, I probably shouldn't have done this, but I did anyway. And it went something along the lines of, Troll Army, please disband. He did not apologize for his actions. He just said, I deserve this. And that's it.
Huh.
Selfless has suspended him immediately. And they are looking, he's still on the team, but he will, obviously they can't use him.
Right. Because you can
Blizzard-
still technically play like custom games.
Yeah,
when
he
you
can,
have, like, a
he
banned
can,
account.
he can practice stuff.
Right.
But he can't play in any tournament. Well, he can't play in any Blizzard sanctioned tournament. Apex might let him play,
Right.
monthly.
It's really up to Selfless, to be honest.
Yeah. So Selfless has put him on the bench for now, and they are saying that they are going to look into counseling for him because apparently this got really bad.
Was he
And
toxic towards like his teammates or something, like with Selfless?
no, he was just on stream, and the problem is he doesn't have a whole lot of people watch him. I mean, he has a lot. He has 3,000-4,000 people that watch him at any one time.
Right.
But I mean, we're not talking like Moon who has 18,000. So
Right. Yeah.
he just 3,000 people is enough to do things like that. He was encouraging his viewers to go out there and troll games, and then send like screenshots of people raging and stuff to him.
Oh my gosh.
So it just I don't know. So as you see in the picture that was shown at about 48 minutes, it says, I am no longer best friends with Defran. Duran is now best friends with IDDQD, the next best soldier. All hail. Bring it on. Bring it on, Sweden. Because I just, I can't believe it. A lot of people look up to this guy because, first off, he is number 1. And second of all, he was a soldier. And soldier's considered like the character that people play when they come over from other games. So he has a big influence, and that was a real shame what he did. And I hope everything works out, and I hope one day he's able to play again. Because it's funny story. I like this guy so much. I actually know his backstory. He worked at a fast food restaurant, and he played.
sense.
Yeah, and he played games at night on his off days. and he got into the top 500 in season 1. And it wasn't Selfless. It was the team that became Selfless.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. They picked him up and they gave him a trial run, and he just exceeded all their expectations, and they signed him right away. They said, "Quit your job. You're going to come to play for us from now on." And
Right.
he got such a chance with Overwatch,
Yeah.
and he just threw it all away. He may have to go back to flipping burgers for a living.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Because, I mean, so question, do you think that this might be one of the first instances of somebody's skill and fame going to their head
I
in
think so.
esports?
I think so because Overwatch has a lot of money behind it.
Yeah, I mean,
from my understanding, these guys get paid pretty well.
oh yeah,
Way
oh, yeah,
more than
especially if
other
you're on, like, big
professionals.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think Counter-Strike probably runs the esports
Oh,
like
yeah.
zone. Like they make good money, but like when you combine, usually a lot of these guys will stream as well. When you combine that with their paychecks and like bonuses from winning tournaments, like these guys get paid well. Like they're obviously not paid like LeBron James, but like they're paid well. And I was thinking because like one thing I've always noticed from esports is that you don't really see these. I mean, you see like people being obnoxious or doing funny things, but like you don't see like scandals really because gamers are just let me sit on my computer and play games. Like they're not really that. So I think this might be like one of the first times we've seen somebody who is kind of a small celebrity in this sphere of professional gaming and esports that their talent and their skill and their fame kind of got to their head a little bit. He kind of maybe thought he was invincible for a few minutes.
Yep. But the downside is this is still just a video game.
Right,
And
like
the company that owns it said, "Screw you." And I also think this was Jeff Kaplan making a statement,
yeah,
probably saying it doesn't matter how big, how small you are. If you are like this, you will eventually get banned.
especially when you have overwhelming evidence against him
Yeah.
because of a stream.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was all there. I'm sure if you look hard enough on YouTube, people have it up, the things you're
Yeah.
doing. And I understand Selfless has a copy of every single VOD from every single stream. And as far
Not
as
really.
they said in their statement on their Twitter, they are investigating every minute. So,
That's
so
just-
long,
that's just
DeFran.
crazy to
I
me.
am no longer
Yeah.
friends with you. I am now friends with IDDQD. I am unfollowing you and following IDDQD. May the Swede do well this year.
Lovely, lovely.
So, is
All
there...
right,
That was kind of what we saving for the end. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we close out?
that's it for me, man. Just don't be toxic. Calm your team down. Play fun. Have fun. Watch out for permabans. Don't worry about your placements. Play Junkrat on attack. Ready, go. Just kidding. Don't do that. You will tilt me out of the wazoo.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this week's podcast. A lot we covered. You can follow us all on our social media links, which will be down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. Good luck in your matches over the weekend, and we'll see you next week on the podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.